Imagine this. The son of the American president and a prince of England.
Total opposites, right?
Exactly. And they get thrown together, somehow end up in this huge public scandal.
Yeah, something that could, totally derail a presidency, shake up a monarchy even.
So what happens then when this massive exposure forces them to really look at who they are, what they actually want?
And what they're willing to fight for.
Yeah.
What do they lose? But also, what incredible truth do they find in the end?
That's really the heart of the story we're exploring today. We're diving into the world of the book, Red, White, and Royal Blue. And just as we get started, we want to mention our YouTube channel, Mindful Moments. It offers AI book analysis, really great stuff to inspire your reflection and critical thinking. So check that out for more insights.
Definitely. So we're stepping into this, unexpected connection that kind of blossoms between Alex Claremont-Duez, the first son,
right,
and Prince Henry. We'll be tracking their journey, from basically mutual dislike to something really profound. It's all there in the book.
Okay, so let's unpack this world a bit. Well, first, we meet Alex Claremont-Duez. He's the first son of Sotosodius. You'll see that abbreviation.
First son of the United States.
And he's ambitious, got these big political dreams. He's living right there in the residence of the White House with his sister June.
She's a journalist.
And their friend Nora, who's the VP's daughter, and like an absolute data genius.
The White House trio, the press calls them.
Right. And Alex's view of Prince Henry, initially, it's not great.
No, he's really not a fan at all. He sees Henry as just, placid smiles, these sort of generic charity appearances.
Kind of boring, yeah.
Yeah, he literally thinks Henry's as compelling as a wet ball of yarn.
Ouch.
Meanwhile, the tabloids are busy casting Alex as the American equivalent of Henry, which just adds fuel to the fire for Alex.
Oh, absolutely. It seems like friction is just inevitable, doesn't it?
Completely. And this sort of prickling, unsettling annoyance between them, it just explodes at a royal wedding.
Right, the big incident. They get into what the book calls either a slap fight or, even better, a homoerotic frat bro mishap.
Which, either way, ends with them tangled up, covered in extremely expensive wedding cake.
Creating this massive international incident. Oh, boy.
The fallout is instant. Huge damage control needed on both sides of the Atlantic.
So Zara, the deputy chief of staff, and President Ellen Claremont herself step in.
And they basically force them into a fake friendship, purely for PR.
Alex even gets handed this HRH Prince Henry fact sheet. HRH is Royal Highness.
Yeah, the royal title stuff.
And the instruction is pretty blunt. The minute you see a camera, you act like the sun shines out of his dick.
Wow, okay. Direct.
Alex is, as you can imagine, completely furious about this whole charade. His sister, June, she just finds it hilarious, tells him basically, you're the one who has to fight everything that moves.
Classic sibling support there.
But here's where it starts to get, really interesting. This forced closeness, having to actually talk and pretend for the cameras.
It starts to spark something real underneath it all, doesn't it?
It really does. It moves past just the public show. You see it develop in their texts, their emails.
Yeah, it evolves. Henry starts off with a really curt, almost rude, I hate that tie.
Yeah.
But then Alex replies with, Hamilton references?
Of course he does.
And suddenly, Henry's contact name in Alex's phone isn't HRH Prince Dickhead anymore.
Progress.
Even their arguments, like over Star Wars, Alex loves Empire, Henry insists Jedi is better.
Classic debate.
It becomes this point of, actual connection and friendly banter. It's funny how real connection can sometimes grow out of these, manufactured situations, forces them to see past the public image.
And as they do start to sort of peel back those layers, we get glimpses of their vulnerabilities, right? The pressures they're both under.
Definitely. Alex feels the weight of expectation, not just as first son, but also dealing with his biracial identity. He actually says, it's harder for me. I'm the son of the first female president, and I'm not white like she is.
That's heavy. And he compares himself to Henry constantly, feeling like he's this living reminder I'll always be compared to someone else.
And Henry, he's carrying these huge, often hidden burdens, too. The grief over his father's death is still really raw.
Yeah.
His mother is almost frozen by her own grief. His sister, Bea, she's had public struggles with addiction. And the press just loves that, right? They're ruthless.
Awful.
Plus, there's the immense pressure of his royal role, this idea that royals aren't supposed to make statements, even about things he cares deeply about.
So they both have these hidden struggles. It really shows the cost of living in that public spotlight. So much
Yeah.
pain underneath the perfect exterior.
Exactly. And so, against this backdrop of shared pressure, different but shared, something clicks. Something big changes.
A turning point after a New Year's party, right?
Yeah. They're in the garden, moonlight, the whole setting, and they kiss.
Alex feels this zip of warmth, he describes it. And afterwards, his insides feel positively molten, intense.
Really intense, but then Henry just vanishes. Ghosts him completely.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That must have thrown Alex completely off balance.
Totally. Alex is really distressed, realizes Henry hasn't answered a single one of Alex's texts or calls. He's left just grappling with it all, like...
What does this all mean? Trying to figure out these feelings.
Exactly. And this is where his support system, the trio, really steps up. Nora, always blunt, always insightful. She points out he's been, quote, Draco Malfoy level obsessed with Henry for years. Helps him connect the dots, maybe.
Oh, that's brilliant. And June?
June is just fiercely protective, super supportive. When Alex starts opening up, she's just proud, telling him, you made a friend.
It really underlines how crucial that kind of support is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Having people you trust when you're figuring out big parts of your identity.
Absolutely vital. They give him that space, that unconditional acceptance.
So they do eventually reconnect. It starts in Paris.
Right, the cheese shop meeting.
Leads to their relationship just deepening incredibly quickly. Secret meetings, museum visits after hours, stolen moments in Hyde Park.
Yeah, Henry starts really letting Alex into his private world, introduces him to David the Beagle.
Important step.
Shows him the grand piano, gives him the key to the family house in Texas, even takes him to the Victoria and Albert Museum after closing time.
Wow. Really personal stuff.
And he recites this poem about James I and George Villiers, sort of acknowledging this whole history of queer relationships, connecting it to them.
So their intimacy, emotional and physical, it just keeps growing, building this like fragile private bubble.
Yeah, in the middle of these intensely public lives, it makes you think, about the lengths people go to protect something precious when everyone's watching.
And then, bang, that bubble bursts. The world finds out.
The news breaks, headlines everywhere. Leaked surveillance footage shows Prince Henry at DNC Hotel.
And the other one, the Oral Office. Read Flotus's steamy emails to Prince Henry. Just devastating for Alex.
Especially the emails. That was their safe space,
Yeah.
Completely unguarded. Now it's just out there. He thinks they were supposed to stay safe.
The reaction is immediate and harsh. Zara is furious.
Yeah, she doesn't mince words. Tells Alex, you're literally putting your dick in the leader of a foreign state.
Oof. And President Claremont.
Her reaction is quieter, more controlled, but the impact is huge. Clears the room, tells Alex straight up, you're off the campaign. I can't risk this.
That must have just crushed his political ambitions right then and there. His heartbreak, his anger. It's so raw.
You see it in the little details, right?
Yeah.
Throwing the campaign mug, breaking his phone.
And then to make things even worse, Rafael Luna, who was like a mentor to Alex.
Yeah, he joins the opposition ticket, Richard's ticket.
Talk about betrayal. And then June reveals she actually slept with Luna. It just keeps piling on.
Alex confronts Luna later, challenges him, asks, didn't we decide this was supposed to be about helping people? It really shows the different paths they've taken, what they prioritize.
But even in all this chaos, this utter destruction of their privacy, Alex and Henry make this incredibly powerful decision together.
Right. That phone call after the leak, they somehow find this shared feeling, this refusal to be ashamed. I'm not sorry. That people know.
And Alex just cuts through it all, asks Henry,
Yeah.
were you going to ask me if I want to tell the truth?
And Henry's response?
Yeah.
It's so strong, so certain, even though it's terrifying. I don't know if I would have chosen it yet, but it's out there now, and I won't lie. Not about this, not about you.
That's the moment, isn't it? They decide to own it, take control of their own story. It's a huge step.
A really powerful choice. So Alex flies back to London after the leak, and this leads to one of the absolute standout scenes in the book.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
When Henry and Alex, finally standing together openly, face the Queen. But they're not alone. Henry's mother, Catherine, is right there with them.
And she is fierce.
Absolutely fierce. She stands up to her own mother, the Queen, and says, look at them, Mum. They're not props of a legacy. They're my children. And I swear on my life, I will take you off the throne before I will let them feel the things you made me feel.
Wow. That's incredible. Defending her children like that, redefining what legacy means.
It's a total game changer, and it even has ripple effects.
Wow.
Henry's older brother, Philip, he actually apologizes later. It seems his own relationship with the Queen soured. Maybe he saw things differently.
Interesting. So while all that family drama is unfolding...
Back in the U.S., Nora, the data whiz, she makes this massive discovery.
Okay, what does she find?
She digs up emails. Proof that Richard's campaign hired a firm that hired the hackers who leaked the hotel footage and, crucially, Alex and Henry's emails.
No way. So it wasn't just random.
No. Nora tells Alex straight up, Richard's outed you, Alex.
Oh my God, that changes everything. It's infuriating, obviously, but...
But it means it wasn't just bad luck, it was a targeted political attack, and that gives them something concrete to fight back against.
Right. It gives them agency back. That moment of clarity, realizing he can do something about it, call Henry and tell him, we're safe, the worst is over. They can actually use the truth now.
Exactly. And Alex finds this weird kind of strength in being outed, in not being able to hide anymore.
Yeah, how so?
He gives this public speech, introduces himself very deliberately as Alex, your first son, talks about hope, wanting to still make people proud.
And how do people react?
Unexpectedly, well, in many ways, his support comes from surprising places. Even guys he'd casually dated before, like Liam and Spencer, they publicly stand by him.
Huh. So the thing he feared most, being exposed.
It actually brought this wave of acceptance, of solidarity in some ways, shows that living authentically, even when it's forced on you and incredibly painful, can actually build bridges.
So the story builds towards election night. They're in Texas.
The tension is sky high.
Yeah.
Everything's uncertain, the election, their future.
Alex must be a wreck.
Totally anxious. His dad, Oscar, gives him some very pragmatic advice, basically. They got you. It happens. Give it time. Try again.
Realistic, I guess. June and Nora are there with him, of course.
And Nora finds some polling data that looks not bad, she says cautiously. Then Molly from the campaign drops the bombshell. We think you have the votes. Texas might actually go blue.
Whoa.
And then it happens. The win is confirmed. The place just explodes. Pure chaos, pure joy. They did it. They did it.
It must feel like a victory on so many levels, not just political.
Absolutely. For Alex, standing there with Henry right beside him, Henry kisses him, described as like the end of the movie.
Nice.
And everyone's celebrating openly. Zara and Sean are aggressively making out. Even Luna gets caught up in it, throwing pamphlets around. It's this moment of just complete open victory, no more hiding.
So the book wraps up looking towards that future.
Right.
What does it look like for them?
It looks hopeful. More open. We see Alex and Henry riding bikes through Austin after the win, deliberately living their lives in plain sight.
The positive theories they talked about start happening.
Yeah, exactly. Bea launches her charity for addiction recovery. Henry starts an LGBT rights foundation. They're using their platforms now.
And Alex.
He's thinking about his own path, looking at LSAT scores, maybe NYU law. Henry's mom is trying to reconnect. Philip apologized.
So things are healing moving forward.
Definitely. Their story really becomes this powerful look at resilience, at finding your identity and strength, the absolute importance of support systems, blood family, chosen family.
And the courage it takes to fight for acceptance, not just for yourself, but for others too.
Yeah. It really asks, what happens when the scandal you dreaded actually becomes the thing that lets you live your most authentic life?
Well, we hope exploring this book, Red, White, and Royal Blue, gave you some valuable insights, maybe a few aha moments about, identity, visibility, and that whole fight for acceptance.
And for more analysis and discussions like this one, definitely check out our YouTube channel, Mindful Moments, and explore our podcasts as well.
Yeah, we encourage you to subscribe for more explorations of really fascinating stories. Maybe share this episode with someone you think would connect with this journey.
And if you want the full, amazing story, consider picking up Red, White, and Royal Blue. You can find a link in the description below.
And most importantly, just keep thinking critically about the stories that shape our world, and maybe about the stories we choose to live ourselves.
Leaves you thinking, doesn't it? What does it really mean to make history? Not just in politics or royalty, but maybe in just daring to live your most authentic life completely out in the open.